Hey you, welcome to the I Feel You podcast presented by Project Feel. I am your host, Eddie Wise, and this is season 2. As most of you may know, we do 2 versions of this podcast. There's audio, so you find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everywhere podcasts are found. And we also have very special visual versions on our YouTube. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to our Patreon. You get some pretty cool perks, such as getting these episodes 2 weeks early. So again, thank you so much for watching and enjoy the episode. Hey, Kelly.
Hey.
Thank you for being here on the I Feel You podcast.
Of course.
I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. We've been a fan of you for a while now. I think before you started doing animation, like heavy.
Yeah, mostly illustration.
Yeah, and then you got into animation, which funnily enough, it was around the same time that I started to kind of find interest in that as well. I didn't like do it, but I like bought a drawing pad and stuff like that, and like tried to do it in Photoshop. Super difficult and impossible for me. So I'm continually impressed by your work. For those of you who don't know, this is Kelly Emmrich. She is her work leans heavily on the visualization of nature and how it makes you feel personally through 2D animation. That's the format that she works in. She has her work is the intention is to make it easy to consume and to take the viewer into a tranquil place. And your work more recently has been projects that lean into the melancholy and bittersweet moments of loss through characters. Mm-hmm. Specifically, you said Nana was a project that you more recently did. For those of you who haven't checked out her Instagram, please check it out. It's so much incredible work is on there. Instagram is like where it always is, right there. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
So talk about how, I guess my first question is like, how do we know you? How does Project Feel know Kelly?
So initially I was reached out to do a t-shirt design.
Nice.
So this is when I was like fully in illustration mode, just doing illustrations. And we worked together to create the In Full Bloom t-shirt design, which I had never done anything like that.
Nice.
Like mostly I was doing like character designing or like different editorial things, but never like for product design. So this was something that was new for me, and I haven't done it since.
Awesome.
But
okay, yeah, no, that's so cool.
But I loved doing that.
Yeah, it was like were you doing a lot of commission work at the time as well?
Yeah, mostly like pet portraits, as like every illustrator goes through.
That's really cool.
A lot of pets and clothes at that time.
Okay,
a lot
cool.
of like graduation portraits and like some companies like reached out for like, oh, we want like an illustration of a girl drinking a coffee cup.
Yeah,
so
that's fun.
I would draw that. But
that's really cool.
Not super professional at the time.
Nice. And the movie was called, the short film was called In Full Bloom. And that was a wild time for us. I just remember talking about that film and like trying to get more people involved, and one of the ways was trying to do it through merch. And I love the shirt design. It was really great. It's super simple, and I think it worked really well. For those of you who didn't see it, it was a In Full Bloom with the flowers, and it's really cool. Yeah,
and we like there was like a lot of back and forth of like we wanted to encapsulate so many like different kinds of flowers, like different little like motifs throughout. So like that was a cool process too of like figuring out like which like where to put the ballet slippers or like the microphone and
oh my gosh, that design was like so cool. What was that? Did somebody just follow you on Instagram and then they were just like, oh, I like this person's art, I think
so. It was very organic.
I feel like that's how it happened too. I don't know who was following you. It might have been Christine.
I think it was Christine. I think she was my point person.
Yeah, and she's really good at finding talented artists. When did you start getting into animation?
I would say I took my first animation class in like 2017, so like my senior year of college, but I kind of put it like on the back burner and just did illustration for a couple of years, and then 2020 like when we first went into the pandemic, like first lockdown, I was like, I'm inside, I'm bored. Illustration, I need something like longer to work on. So I started animating.
Is a long
yes, it is.
process.
So I think like there's this one TikTok challenge that was like dressing myself as a character or like what I would be, or like what I'd like wear in a day, like as a cartoon character. And I did that, but then I made myself a cartoon character, and that was I think like the first video that did pretty well. And then I was like, oh, there's an audience for this, I'm having fun doing it, let's keep going. So
that's so cool. And how's it do you feel like you've progressed like a ton since then, or?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think just the action of like doing it over and over like just helps you get so much better.
What's your process? Like what do you use and stuff like that?
So for a long time, until I went to grad school for animation, I was doing like embarrassingly Photoshop to After Effects to Premiere.
Okay, I see that process. Okay.
But now I do mostly like TV paint animation. So I do my backgrounds in Photoshop, which is like mostly industry standard, and then TV paint, which is like a French animation program.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like closest to drawing on paper. So, and it can handle big things. So like my Photoshop documents would probably like crash out at 100 frames or so.
Jeez.
So I had to like, for each project, I would have to have like 20 documents, which just wasn't sustainable. But I made I made this whole music video that was like 4.5 minutes in Photoshop. So that was probably like upwards of like 10,000 Photoshop documents.
No way. Wait, how did you what?
I had like 4 different hard
drives
going.
That doesn't make sense to me. How did you link them all together? Did you have
Premiere.
to like, but you had to export them one by one into Premiere or import? Jesus.
And a lot of them were like character was on one Photoshop document and then backgrounds were on a different one. So having TV paint now is so much easier.
Oh, that changes the game. There are very few people, and this is why I appreciate animation and animators. There are very few people who have the patience for that. I'm one of those people, or who don't have the patience for that. I'm one of those people that don't have the patience. There are very few people who have the patience.
Yeah, I think
you'd be one of those people.
I kind of fell in love with it because it's so tedious.
Yeah,
and stupid.
That's such a good trait to have. Oh my god!
I used to be a swimmer.
Yeah.
So like, and like a distance swimmer.
Yeah.
So I would just be going back and forth and back and forth. And animation's kind of the same thing. Of people would be like, "Oh, don't you get so bored swimming?" I'd be like, "No, I'm just like I'm listening to music. I'm just bebopping around, thinking about things." And animation's the same.
That is so cool. So, for those of you who don't understand, I mean, 10,000 is a pretty big number, but like every single project I've ever done, because I don't do animation, I just do video editing and stuff. It's only ever one document, and if there's a second, it's because there's like color or like an After Effects thing or like some kind of visual effects. I just can't imagine what it looks like to organize.
Yeah.
Did you have like part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing? Or
yeah. So how I would do it, I would have like in one project folder, I'd have like PSD documents, MP4 exports, MOV exports, like with the alpha channels, JPEG exports. So like have it just all organized. Like you have to be super organized if you're gonna do it this way.
How many gigs was that? I'm assuming it wasn't like
it was probably like upwards of like 100
gigs,
which like not that bad.
That makes sense though, but like for animation, for like a frame, like for frames to be over 100 gigs is like, god, that is impressive. That is
like
very
each
impressive.
document was probably maybe 3 max gigs. It was large because then I was also doing it in 2K to like make sure that I could like export well.
You wanted to export? Did you export in 2K and post it in 2K as well, or just export
1080,
in? Okay,
but
1080,
just like so that I can like move around if I wanted to do camera moves.
For sure, if you wanted to. Oh my gosh, the camera movements. So I'm assuming you're pretty proficient in like After Effects and Premiere and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
After Effects like not as good, but I'm gonna.
That's where you do the camera work.
Yeah. And like the puppet tool if I feel lazy.
That's so sick. So I'm geeking out because I love just talking about process. When you bring it into After Effects, is it like you bring in each scene, I guess, location individually, and then you just like record?
Yeah, so typically I'd bring in like each Photoshop document as frames. So like usually it'd be only backgrounds that I'd be playing around in After Effects, or if like I wanted to have like some sort of compositing, like if I wanted a dress to be like on the girl and like stay stagnant throughout, but like she moves in the scene, kind of like, I don't know if you've seen Chowder.
Yeah,
but like they have like Chowder. Stagnant backgrounds and like the characters are moving, and like the character clothing stays. I like that look.
It's a really cool look. I love that show. Yeah, that's so
mostly
wild.
just like compositing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The most I did in animation was like, it's on my Instagram, but it's like, I think this like I recorded a video of my hand doing this, and then I just drew.
Though.
And it was
like rotoscoping.
Yeah, I just drew over it and then colored and stuff like that, and I had fun with it. But man, I wish I got into it heavy, because I mean, I love animation. I love animated movies, and it's always been such a fascination to me, in all forms, in all mediums, for like cartoons, anime, animated movies and stuff. It's always been incredibly fascinating. I've always had a ton of respect for people like that. So thank you for doing what you do, first of all. It's really impressive.
Well, I love it, so I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
That's awesome. So what's the I guess if you're allowed to talk about this, what's the next big thing that you're working on?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Okay. So like I'm in grad school. Nice. So I guess the next big thing would be my thesis, which will be like out. I haven't really started yet. I've like pitched it and done all that, but I've probably done like 30 seconds of test animation.
Okay,
but
cool.
It's like going to be probably 3.5 minutes max. Yeah. I might do like a long cut, because I'm a crazy person, and like I have way too many ideas of things that, like, it's basically about this girl who's a seamstress and feeling very burnt out, and she kind of like goes to this underwater fabric world and like a dance party. She follows a dandelion. It's very strange and magical.
So cool,
but it's animation, which is a medium that anything could happen.
Yeah. And it's all you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I do have a musician,
nice,
which is cool, because
that is cool.
As many talents as I have, music is not my best. Like,
that's fair.
Yeah, I was in an a cappella group in college, but like,
oh no, what?
That's like awesome. The only like
So you kind of sing?
I sing, but I don't play a musical instrument at all.
Same.
Like I have a piano repertoire, but like I wouldn't call myself a musician.
That's fair.
I play like Coldplay or whatever.
Heck yeah, that's all that matters. What are you? So you're in school for animation. You said you're in grad school right now, right?
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's so stressful. I just had finals
this
past week, which.
What did that entail?
A lot of animating. So yeah, I finished a short film.
Yeah.
I also took lithography this semester.
What is that?
It's like printmaking that is on stone.
Oh. Damn, lithography?
Yeah. So it's like the original printmaking where like you like draw on stone and then you etch it, and then you like put water on it.
Was that on
there's like acid,
on your Instagram?
Yeah.
The most recent post? Or one of the most recent posts? It was you were like rolling it out? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, such a cool process. So hard, so time consuming. Because you have to like grain your stone to like prep it for drawing.
Yeah.
And that took me probably like upwards of 16 hours to grain a limestone.
Oh my god. And there are people that like do that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's so impressive though. What's your favorite class that you've taken? Because I don't know anything about college. I went to college for like 3 semesters for acting, for theater.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was in a community college in Orlando, and I wasn't learning and I wasn't gonna meet anybody that was like in it, so I just kind of dropped out.
I do kind of like love community college though.
I wish I finished, to be honest. But I mean, I wish I went here more like.
Yeah, like I went to community college for like a little bit during the pandemic because I was like kind of bored. And the classes were quite cheap, but like it was nice. I wish that I'd done that before undergrad, honestly. Like I knocked it so much because it's like, oh, you're not going to 4 years. And just I went to a very competitive like academic high school.
Oh wow, okay.
And everyone was very intelligent. I was not geared that way. So I was like constantly just going nuts, like trying to keep up. But it was so nice being in community college for like that little time because like everyone paid themselves like to be there. No one felt like it was taking it for granted. And like that was just
that's so true.
Yeah, like
so true.
in undergrad I just it felt like 4 years of trying to find yourself. Like the people were just paying so much money, which like luckily my undergrad is pretty cheap, so then I can now pay to go to grad school.
That's awesome.
I mean, with a lot of loans, but
it's college. It's college for sure.
But yeah, I would say lithography is probably my favorite that I've ever done because it's like it's also very tedious and monotonous. It's similar to animation in process in terms of like just time it takes. But it feels like really like I can go, and my roommate like begrudges me for this all the time because I'm there constantly and he's like, Kelly, when are you coming back to help me with my essay? And I can be there from like 1 to like 5 or 6 p.m. haven't taken a break, haven't stopped or anything, and I just don't even notice. And then I'm like, oh, the sun's going down. Oh no. Like I should probably go eat dinner.
Yeah, those are the best kinds of moments. That's how I am with like with video games usually.
Yeah.
It's like probably one of the only places I really feel that. And like sometimes when I'm editing and I'm really into it, like if I'm like writing, so I know what that feels. It's like a flow. It's the flow. Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah,
just to like lose yourself in it.
What's the? I don't know if I've ever met anybody that like thrives in like the tediousness of tasks. I find that really interesting. Was that like, were you always just like that, like growing up, or did you find that? Or
I think I became like that kind of during the pandemic, like with cleaning.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like germophobiness, like methodically doing things. Yeah. I don't know. Like I used to be such a careless kind of person. Like in undergrad, I was quite messy and sorry to my roommates at that time. And I guess now like I'm paying for it with kind of like messy roommates.
Living with a bunch of guys.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's just like now in my old age, I've become like more interested in like process and like the journey. Oh,
that's so cool. I feel like that's a symptom of age as well, is like learning that there's so much more fun to be had in the journey of something.
Yeah.
I feel like we were kind of wired to be the opposite, where it's like the result is the only thing that matters, you know. The satisfaction or the reward is like what the most satisfying part is. But I'm actually finding that as well, is like the day-to-day is probably is something I'm learning to appreciate more often. I'm still not good at the tediousness though. I think that's something I want to work on now, because you're kind of
I also like split screen and get through a lot of shows.
True.
This way.
True,
like,
true.
I've probably seen Community, The Office, like Schitt's Creek.
I love
so many times.
Schitt's Creek.
Me too.
Oh my
all my friends
God,
like call me Alexis because I do like all these little hands. Yeah.
Dude, I love Schitt's Creek. I just watched that recently.
I love that show too.
This year? I think it was this year that I watched it for the first time.
And then Community has like been my ride or die.
Yeah, Community's
like,
great too. I never finished Community, but I really enjoyed that show. No,
like I
could felt it. I could feel it kind of like.
Yeah, like I watch seasons 1 through 3, and then I skip 4 because that's like the gas leak year or whatever that they call it. Where
did I get to that one?
Hopefully not. That's also like I think when Pierce leaves and Donald Glover.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's unwatchable. Like after Donald leaves, I'm like, ugh.
Pierce was one thing, but I can't. I don't think I got to that point.
Yeah, and
it was so good to start off though.
It was so good. Yeah.
Oh, man. How do you feel about The Office?
I liked it a lot in undergrad. Now I like it less. I think I've aged into different shows.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think people hate Jim quite a bit. Like
really?
now, because it's like he doesn't I don't know. He doesn't take care of Pam as much, and I think like I used to romanticize their relationship a lot.
I mean, yeah, that
in
was
undergrad.
The natural reaction when you first saw it. When I first saw it too, I feel like most people's. That's interesting. I didn't know that people were like.
Yeah, but people were like, "Oh, that's a weird arc for Jim to like just leave Pam and then like
interesting
buy a home for her and then like make a whole decision."
Oh yeah, like, that was all very chaotic.
Yeah,
I think that was.
That was like later on, though.
I mean, yeah, that was. I don't know what people romanticizing that, buying the house part, because that was like when I watched it, I was like, that's really aggressive.
Yeah,
and
I feel like I'd be like, how many bathrooms are there? Like, what's up with the clown painting?
Interesting.
I don't know. I like looking for homes, so I'm like, if any man did that for me,
I feel like
no.
I have no say. I would feel the same way. I actually am the one that found this place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is I came here, I saw it once, I took a video, and both of them were like, all right, let's do it. I was like,
that's kind of how like me and my roommate Carson were. Like, he found our new place. Yeah. We both went, like, it was finals week. Like, my other roommate was like, I have so many frames. Like, she's also an animator. And she's like, I have so many frames to do, I cannot come. Like, just send me videos. And honestly, I've never found a more perfect place. Like, washer dryer in unit.
Oh yeah, yo, that's what we had. We had that before, and we lost that. It's really sad. Yeah. It's really sad. That was probably the greatest thing about that apartment, because you just don't find that anymore.
I know. Like, it's gonna be so nice. We have it this year. I hope
you guys get it.
But also we like have water issues. So
true. Doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't really help that much.
It's kind of a waste of space now.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of? I mean, you would go to college, I'm assuming, but you go to college for animations. I'm assuming you do. But do you like have a group of animators that you talk to like pretty frequently?
Mainly a girl group, because there's only two male animators in our program.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like a field dominated by mostly women, or is it just your class?
Just my class.
That's
like,
so
it's
cool.
Super male dominated, especially in Hollywood. I'm under the impression.
That's what I assumed.
It's becoming more and more female.
That's what I assumed.
But mostly it's still like considered kind of a STEM field.
Yeah. That's that's what I'm. Okay, yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
That's really
like we have another section to our major though that's interactive arts and like installation based, and I would say that's pretty split.
Okay.
Like
I feel like more and more classes nowadays, which is a great thing. More and more classes are becoming more even.
Yeah. And that one's definitely super STEM based, because it's a lot of coding and a lot of like metalworking and woodworking and a lot of different like machinery things. So
it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Dope. Have you taken like a class about like installations and like that kind of stuff, or like any kind of like, besides the stone, is there like hard labor work that you've done before, like metal or carpentry?
Not metal, but like I had to put on a couple of gallery shows.
Nice.
We had like everyone has to take a practicum class, so it's like practical gallery work. So we did like installs, but mostly it was like the hardest thing I had to do was hanging a big projector from the ceiling. Oh man. And then like projection mapping from that, and like if projection it blew like a little bit, like it was totally off and I had to like redo it.
And you had to move the projector, or move the
like installation piece.
Yeah.
So we were like projecting on like
gotcha.
this sculpture that we made and like hung on the wall. So cool. It was really cool.
It sounds dope.
Yeah, it was really hard though.
Mapping. Yeah, no, that's like. Have you ever been to Disney?
It's been a while.
Orlando.
They have
Disney World. How long has it been?
Like, I lived there for like a month when I was 4.
Okay,
but that was it.
I don't know if you've seen it, but they have they do projection mapping onto the castle.
Oh wow!
The Disney castle in Magic Kingdom during the fireworks show.
Oh, that's cool.
It is probably one of the most stunning things I've ever seen. I cry every time. Oh, because they changed the castle into like all of the different castles that the characters fly up on the thing, and like so much impressive work. The frozen cat, like they freeze it in ice, like it just looks so cool and so real.
Dang. That's a job I never thought
about
doing.
It is one of the most impressive things. I can't imagine how long that took, but they probably had so many engineers, so many talented individuals working on that. Because then they also match it up with the fireworks and the way that works out. Like things happen at the same time. Like it's all very, very in sync and aligned, and it's just so incredibly impressive.
That's kind of like what
music and everything.
one of my friends really wants to do, like large scale concert
Projection
projections.
mapping. Oh my god.
Like that's her dream, and I'm like, that's freaking so cool.
Dude, that is incredibly cool. It's so impressive. And I'm assuming a lot of math.
Yeah, I think a lot of coding.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I don't know either.
That's outside my wheelhouse.
Yeah, honestly. I just, it's also impressive, but nothing that I feel like I can, like, I just want to admire that.
Yeah.
You know? That's something that when I, growing up, that's something I had to learn.
Coding?
No.
Or admiring?
Admiring.
Okay.
Because I remember growing up, and funny enough, like, I think it was middle school, I went to Lockheed Martin. You know what that is?
No.
So Lockheed Martin is a company of engineers. They do military grade technology. Like they do contract, like they do military contracts. You know, when, I don't know, do you know how that works when like government puts out a contract for what they need, like militarily? So like weapons, new jets and stuff like that. So like even just simulators, training for the military. So military puts out contracts. A bunch of companies they try to fill those needs. And they're one of the major companies that does a lot of the advancements in technology in that realm. They also do like a lot of the things come eventually to commercial use, but most of it starts at the military industrial complex. So I went there when I was in middle school, and I was pretty young, and I had never seen it, but they were already doing like AR, VR technology.
Oh, wow. And that was like a while ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And I remember seeing it. They had like I always tell people this. It's always so funny. It's one of my go-to stories. They showed us this thing where it was like, you know, VR headset. And then you were in this like, you're standing on basically a circular treadmill. So you could like run on it and like move directions too.
That's cool.
And you had like a built on like the suit or whatever. I didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
They just showed us what the technology was. I don't even know if it was functioning at the time, but it was a concept, and I think they had a machine for it. And there was like tubes as well at the nose. So basically, you would do a combat simulation. So you'd be on the battlefield. They would be shooting the smell of gunpowder, blood.
Oh my gosh!
Like an actual military, like a war zone, and like you could, when you got hit, you would feel it too. It was like vibrations and like pretty aggressive ones too. It was nuts. It was insane. And one of the things that I found so fascinating was that because it was such expensive technology, they had to make sure people didn't throw up in the actual thing. So when somebody was like about to like throw up, they would shoot the smell of peppermint through the tube. And peppermint kills nausea. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that before. When you have nausea, just like chew a piece of gum.
Tea, yeah.
Chew a piece of gum, have some tea. Just smelling peppermint, like kills your nausea. So
also nice.
That was so no, that was that was like that was so cool. And I just remember thinking like I left that place and I was like, I want to be an engineer, and I was like, I want to do, because I saw so many cool things, like a helicopter simulator. There's like just a driving simulator, really normal with like the blinker and the rear view, and I did that one.
That's cool.
And I was so impressed by all the technology, and I was like, this is all really freaking cool, and I love all of this stuff. I would love to make something like this. And then like I started doing math, and I was like, this sucks. This is the worst thing I've ever done.
I feel
so
like that's
the
how
process,
it goes. Yeah,
the process to get to those really cool things was not something that I found interesting or that I admired at all. And I realized that this is really cool, but this is something that I could watch and enjoy aggressively and like cheer on people who can do that stuff. But I was just like, I'm gonna take a step back. And back then I was like, it was difficult because I really wanted to, but I didn't have any of the know-how to like do the process. And now I'm learning in my old age that like, you know, there are some things that animation is one of those things for me. I would love to, you know,
which there's no math unless you do coding.
Well, but it's a similar thing, like the process of like drawing all of the frames. I don't think that's something I could like do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you could do abstracted, and that would be like
true. I mean, do whatever
much
you
more
want,
funky.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but I admire it. I admire it so much. I feel like I just would rather like admire that than anything else. So
yeah, coding is the one thing that I have no patience for.
Me
like.
Too. I tried that too.
Good at it, kind of.
Okay,
like
cool.
I took a coding class that was Python inside of Maya.
Sick. Okay.
So like coding for models. And like shockingly, I was really good at it.
Oh,
but that was
nice.
mostly because of my dad in the background helping me. He's a coder.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, I love my parents, but I wish I knew an older person who like was a good at it.
He actually did used to work at Disney World
Oh,
as an engineer.
That's so cool. What the heck? That is so dope.
That's why we were there for like a month,
Wow.
like living in
That's so cool.
a hotel. Like,
do you know what he was working
on? I feel like it was an underground tunnel of some kind.
Probably one of the rides, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh, an underground tunnel? Maybe
the Small World?
Oh.
It might have been that one.
Small World. That would be wild.
Yeah. It was like in the
classic.
90s.
It's
or
a
like
classic.
99 or something. 2000. That was a great time. I
pretty
fell
cool. Yeah,
I went to
that's
Epcot a
pretty
lot,
cool.
but every single time I fell asleep. So there's just like tons of baby photos of me like sitting in a stroller just like sacked.
Did you guys just go to Disney like all the time, like every day?
I think it was during the summer, so
Sounds
I
like a
didn't
dream.
have like preschool, and my mom was a teacher, so she was off.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Is your mom still a teacher?
A piano teacher.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Does she work at a school, or is she like a freelance?
She's independent.
That's sick.
But she used to work down in South Florida, like doing musical theater and
nice.
choir for a Spanish River High School. It's like way down south.
That's so cool.
I think Boca Raton is where it is.
Yeah, I live Boca.
So yeah, and then she taught like a little bit at my elementary school, which was horrible because it was like an very inner city, just underfunded, bad management, and teaching music to 30 kids that a lot of them were special needs because they had parents that were addicted to drugs and they just weren't getting the help that they needed. And
Public school?
Yeah. It's still about that bad, but like turnover was so bad at that school. Like I think 13 or 14 teachers quit the same year that she did.
Man.
So it was a rough little end to her teaching career in the public system.
That sucks. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that aspect. I did musical theater in Orlando, which is, but I'm also familiar with the teaching aspect of it. I used to work at a private school. Did that for like 4 years, I think. And I had taught my dad's private school. I taught 2nd to 5th grade.
Oh wow.
General courses. So they had books that would teach them, and I would just help with retention and that kind of stuff. Also low income, a lot of special needs kids, families that weren't the most supportive.
Yeah.
That's probably the most difficult job I've ever seen or had to experience.
I have a lot of friends that are teachers now, and like especially during the pandemic, it was so hard for them because like a lot of the students that they had were from abusive homes, and it's just like hearing that in the background, like on Zoom.
What do you even do? Like,
and you can't do anything unless they bring it up to you.
Yeah.
Like that's I have this one friend who was like, we would have beer nights or whatever, and like little game nights and stuff, and she would just tell me these stories and like be crying, and it hurts my heart to like have people in my life dealing with that, and then by proxy also the kids dealing with that. Luckily, like now they're back in school, so like they're away from their families, but it's still
tough.
Yeah.
But because now you know.
And now you know the home situations. Yeah.
You've seen it personally.
Yeah.
And you still can't really like touch that world.
I know. Yeah. Inner city
So
schools.
sad.
Yeah.
Such a big problem with education in this country. Ugh. I hate talking. Not that I hate talking about it. It's important to talk about, but seeing it and experiencing it, like public school for me, I was also in those. It wasn't like inner city kind of vibes, but it was still low income. A lot of kids, like a ton of kids. And I just remember knowing that the teachers could not fail me, or they would either lose their jobs or not get paid.
Really?
And not like I'm not going to give you a paycheck, but like they would funding would be cut for the school if the kids weren't doing as good as they should. Like if they had the same grade that you would get for kids. The school had a rating the similar. So we were like, you would have A schools and then you would have like D schools, and our school was a D school for a long time. And D schools would I guess it was a way to like prioritize making those schools better, but it wasn't a good system, because the way you got better is by kids passing, and
but it's like this endless loop of like getting worse and worse.
yeah, and then like, you know, how many fights you have in a year and how many kids get hurt, like detentions, referrals, like in school suspension, how many kids were experiencing that. Like that's how they would do the rating system. And I just remember just like breezing by, just like floating by. Like you don't talk. If you don't talk, you don't bother
just, like,
anybody.
Keep your head down. Like...
Yeah, and you just like don't do. I never did homework.
Yeah.
Ever. Just copy somebody or not even turn it in. Just be like, oh, and then do well in class. That's all you have to do. I don't remember learning much in high school, middle school, elementary school.
Yeah, I went from like
sucks.
I went to like that high school for 3 years, and then my mom quit and was like, okay, we need to like rethink what's going on.
Yeah.
Because like there was this situation in my 3rd grade where I would be making a good grade, but then like no one else would. And then the teacher would like scream at everyone like for hours. So it just like wasn't a very healthy environment.
Yeah.
So then I ended up going to Montessori, which like then going from like very strict public school to like hippie private school where like I played bongos for like 8 hours a day, like, and like made a fleet of wire bugs, like, and read books about horses. Like it was such a
I went to a Montessori too in elementary. It's the same. I was just like playing games that came in little Crayola boxes. You open it up and play a game and then put it away and then get another game and like do the same.
Yeah, like I learned Spanish and I did like a project on Honduras and like I did another like diorama about jellyfish. Like that took a whole year and that was my science credit.
Montessori's are a different world.
They are
a different world. I don't remember learning a
no
thing.
I can polish silver so well though. Like so give me a spoon and I'm like yeah.
I remember going to my 10th grade English class, and everybody, they were going through the basics of sentence structure.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember everybody knowing every answer. And I was like, I don't know any of these things. And they were all like, yeah, this is all stuff we learned in elementary school. And I was like,
yeah.
How did I go through 4 years of school? Like, or I went through 4 years. Because it was my 10th grade English class. I went through 4 years of school after elementary, and I never visited this subject again. And now I'm in 10th grade, and we're talking about simple sentence structure, and we're just covering basics to then make it more complicated, and I don't even know the basics. I was sitting there like, oh my God.
Honestly, I have an English degree, and I can't tell you what a semicolon does. Like...
No, English doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Oh my God.
But like Montessori, I didn't learn anything either. Like I went back to public school in 6th grade, and I think we had this like assessment test about like long division. And I had never done long division on paper. I had only done it with beads. Yeah. So I was like, where are the beads?
The beads. Oh,
like little tubes.
Yeah. Holy.
So I was very lost in math for like years.
That's so sad. Yeah, we need a private schools can't be allowed to just do whatever they want. Like private schools are literally allowed to teach any curriculum as long as the curriculum is like accredited,
and
or
then you like have some sort of like standardized testing at the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's it. That's literally it. And if you pass a standardized test, it's
then
like,
you're fine.
Right, you're good.
Yeah.
And that just somehow you know everything that you were supposed to learn in a year of schooling with one test.
But I just remember being very dramatic in that school because like no one, like we had to take off our shoes as soon as we like got in, and I would hide in that foyer and like cry and like wait for someone to come for me because I was just like being dramatic. I was like, look at me amongst the shoes. I'm disgusting. Like,
yeah, I just remember, no shame to my teacher, but in that Montessori, we had two teachers actually, who were too big to stand out of their chairs.
Oh, shoot.
So they would sit down in the class and stay seated the entire day. So we could go to the back of the classroom and do whatever we wanted. Like, and it was like it was like, there was sometimes a plan. Like, I think she would give lectures once in a while, but mostly it was just that. It was just like doing stuff all day, like having fun. And
I loved it as a kid.
It was so
now
great.
looking back,
I have
I'm
so many
like,
great memories of playing around. And
Yeah.
I remember in that same place, I remember for some reason I got possessed and I punched a ketchup packet and it splatted on the wall. That was like one of my most vivid memories of that. Also the other, I don't even know if I should say this on the publicly on a podcast, but I remember one of my first not sexual experiences, one of my first glimpses into the world of adulthood was when my teacher, I think her name was Miss Selena or something like that, she like took off her sweater and her shirt lifted up and the whole class was like, what just happened? Like all the kids were like, yo, did you guys see that? I don't know. That's one of the most vivid memories. I think she was a math teacher. I don't even know if she was a math teacher.
I feel like they didn't have teachers.
They were just like there as
we
like
had,
they were
a
like
general, and then we had a Spanish teacher, and that was it.
That's literally that's probably how mine was too. But the memories that I have from that, nothing has to do with learning. Nothing has to do with actual what it was like to be a kid.
Yeah, I think my most vivid memory is like when I got in trouble because I had these like two best friends, Peyton and Taylor Ann.
I love those names.
And
Peyton, Taylor Ann.
Taylor Ann's mom,
You're
shout out
definitely
to you.
watching this, yeah.
Haven't seen you since I was like 10.
Yeah.
But Taylor
So,
Ann,
10 years
like,
old.
her mom had all of these dolls, like, in her foyer. So, like, just a lot of, I don't know, like, whenever I went over the house, I was, like, assaulted by dolls.
That's scary.
But basically, Taylor Ann did not love that I was, like, closer with Peyton, I guess. So she sent a note to Peyton saying,
way.
your boobs are big. Love, Kelly. And I got in the most trouble.
She put your name on that?
Yeah.
Yo.
So I had to
That's
have
grimy.
a big picnic bench, like, talk with the teacher. And
You
I
can't.
got, like, my bongo privileges revoked.
No
like
way. They took away the one thing that you were
that I
learning how to
loved.
do.
Yeah.
You could have been a famous bongo player if they didn't
I know,
do that to you.
seriously, like, a week off, and that just ruined my whole
Dude,
career.
Yo, forget it, man. That's
But yeah, also I remember like throwing a really big bouncy ball
Yeah.
into the whole snack table during after school care, and I also got in massive trouble. Like, what about Montessori just like makes kids chaotic?
Yo, honestly, I oh my gosh, that's
I feel like
cool.
it's like one step away from homeschool energy.
It
Like,
really is. Like, yo, one of the classrooms, I never got to this class because I think in the 5th grade, we moved to like a normal school, a public school.
Yeah, 6th grade for
which
me.
is just a different chaos. The 5th grade teacher was the principal as well. She was the other person who was a little too big to stand.
Man, that's hard when you're a teacher.
It's tough. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were. I don't know. I just don't even. I don't know.
They should get like little rolly chairs.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know what they did. But they had in that same classroom. It was a bunch of kids, but then also a bunch of animals.
Like
a bunch
live
of rabbits.
ones? Oh,
yes.
okay.
And like, I'm pretty sure they were like reptiles too, but they took care of a bunch of
Interesting.
animals in there. That was like the weirdest thing to me, but also kind of normal.
We hatched chicks and none of them survived. That was also the most traumatic. We all just like, when they hatched, they
Traumatized
just
bunch of children.
they just weren't hatching, and then like the teacher just was like, and just red yolk. Awful.
Oh my god!
Like,
and
imagine-
everybody just knew what it was. You're just like. If there's one
Montessori.
thing you learn about Montessori, it's the relationship between life and death.
And I was only there for 2 years, but I feel like a lifetime passed.
Yo, that's crazy.
Like going to school there.
Oh man, I'm so glad we could relate on this experience because
Yeah, there aren't many Montessori kids.
Honestly,
that
there
are
aren't.
like, okay.
Yeah, that are okay. Yeah, exactly. Most of us are probably artists. I'm gonna start asking my friends, like, yeah, did you go to
Are
Montessori?
you a Montessori kid?
Do you even know what a Montessori is? What is a Montessori? Like, what is that name? Do you know
I
what that
have no
means? Because I know it's like
idea.
a private school, right? But it's like
I
a
think it's a last name
different
of
kind
someone.
of private school.
I think it's for artsy people, though.
Montessori.
It's definitely not a religious thing.
No, it's not. Nah, they're just
But I
called
feel like
private
it's
schools.
for like granola, like hippie children.
That would make sense to me.
Because like we did a lot of pottery. I played a lot of bongos. I made a lot of
Yeah,
wire
we had music class.
sculptures.
We had like a lot of it felt a little artsy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember playing what was that, the Hokey Pokey?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was lit. We did that in Montessori all the time.
And we like learned all of the colonial dances.
Really? Oh, we didn't do that's
I think that was like Virginia specific.
Yeah, that has to be, because that's wild.
Because like we went to Williamsburg and like performed them.
No way. Holy.
We did like a little Virginia reel.
That is so wild. I don't remember doing any like dances in the Montessori. I don't think we even had like school gatherings with like the parents. You know how they do the. Never done.
Yeah, I think we had one dance, and that was like with like a Catholic boys' school, in like the gym or something, and everyone was just like kind of lining up, like, oh my gosh, a boy's gonna dance with me. Did
you have like a religious upbringing or not?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Like my extended family quite religious, but my parents. Not at all. I think my mom has like really bad memories of having to like
they were
wake
grown
up.
Yeah,
they both grew, or at least my dad did not, but my mom did. Yeah, but like my cousins are quite religious.
Catholicism.
Yeah, Catholic.
Okay.
So like I've been to mass with them a couple times.
Okay.
I've never had communion, so I have to sit quietly in the pews while they like eat the bread or whatever.
Yeah, they do the blood and the wine and the.
Yeah.
I grew up. My parents were pastors for like 12 years.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
Yeah, but it was Pentecostal churches. I don't know. Do you know what that is? It's got, what's the? It's not Catholic. It's
like Presbyterian.
Is it Presbyterian or Baptist? I don't even know, to be honest. It was just a more. We did Old Testament, New Testament, and it was. I don't even know how to explain it. It's very different. Like church is wild. Church in that it's. Have you ever been to like a crazy church where like everybody's yelling and like people are running up and down the aisles and stuff? Yeah, it was that kind of church. Like
I don't
all
know.
the time.
I went through like kind of a religious journey in college. Not
nice,
actually, but like
just like experiencing the religion.
Going to different things. Like I went to temple. Like I had a couple friends who were Jewish, and they always have dinners after, so I was like, let's get the food.
True.
But like a lot of my friends were quite religious in different sorts of religions. So I kind of just would go once to church, like try the chili and then go home. But there was definitely one that was like, it was called Freedom Church. And I think it was non-denominational.
Oof. Oh, those non-denominational churches are something different.
It was like in a bunker, and I was like, I'm not gonna leave. Like the chili better be good after this.
Oh my god.
But
chili.
Like the pastor or whatever he was called, was like, oh, I see someone new in the congregation. Like I'm just gonna tell my entire life story. And he was like, I was working at the quarry, like. Every day I was on drugs, and and I was like, oh no. And it was like a Christian rock concert, so it was kind of cool.
Christian rock is something
but there was
too.
like a Jesus is my rock, and then like the drums and stuff, and this guy was wearing a drug rug, and I was like, oh, I love your drug rug, and he's like, what? And I'm like, never mind. It's mine.
Not
it's not.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. Churches, I don't even know what it's like now. I haven't been in a very long time. But that was also very, I want to say, trauma-inducing experience for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm still dealing with a lot of the repercussions of going to church for that long.
Because it is hard to like, some of the people that I was friends with in high school, like frenemies more so with, like would go to church every Sunday and then come back and like be awful. Yeah. So it's just like, that's so bad to see. Yeah. Like it's like you sit there and like you're learning nothing. Yeah. About being a good person. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be about. Yeah. Mostly. So it's just, I don't know. You're just kind of learning that you just kind of talk about hell a lot. Yeah. It's pretty much what my experience was. Yeah, and like a lot of the Catholic things are like, you thrust the demons down into pits of hell, and I'm like, oh, maybe not. This is a little dark. Yeah. Dude, Sunday school for children, and you're learning about that kind of stuff, and you're like, as a kid, you're just like, this sounds terrifying. Yeah. Like just open source, I can read about Revelation, talking about the 4 horsemen and the plagues, and like how there's going to be 7 years of prosperity and then 7 years of just like
hell on earth kind of thing, and I'm like,
oh, I
have to look
love
forward to this stuff.
Joseph, like King of Dreams, like that animation movie.
Oh my god, yo,
so good.
Prince of Egypt is my favorite.
That was like
movie.
my animation awakening.
That
like,
movie, doesn't matter if you're religious or not. That movie, you have to watch that movie if you haven't already. I'm sure most people have, but no, and I think that's kind of coming back too. More people are talking about it, like, yo, watch this.
Yeah,
this joint
plus,
is crazy.
I don't know if this is a true fact, but this is like what I've heard about animation. Like DreamWorks, so they produced Shrek that same year. So basically, they had like 2 teams of animators, and like the good animators would be put on the Prince of Egypt, and then the bad, like on probation animators would be put on Shrek. But it's like, obviously Shrek did better in the box office, but like Prince of Egypt it's a masterpiece, like musically,
agreed,
visually, so good.
Every part of that movie is incredible. That's
the only religious thing that I'll ever watch.
Some of my formative years in terms of art, like falling in love with animation. That was one of the bigger movies. Falling in love with animated movies.
Yeah. Like DreamWorks is so good. Yeah, like El Dorado. I think they did Anastasia as well.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure. I think Disney just bought them, so she like became a Disney princess. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Didn't they do? Was it Shark Tale?
Yeah, I think so. that was a weird movie.
Yeah, the end with working at the car wash, and they're doing the whale. They'll clean the whale. I want to watch that. It's weird.
I haven't seen that since I like was a lifeguard in high school. And we had these like pool like movie nights where people would just like float in the pool. So I was like watching that from the chair, like the lifeguard stand.
Yeah, it's sick.
Like that's my only experience watching that.
That's actually so funny. I love that movie. It doesn't age too well.
Yeah, all I remember is like the lips on the fish, on the girlfish.
Weird. Yeah, that was an odd experience. Who voiced that character?
It wasn't J-Lo, was it?
Was it?
I feel like it was someone big like that.
It might have been J-Lo or Angelina Jolie.
It might have been, yeah.
I don't remember. But I have to watch that movie.
But it was someone like with a very smooth, like nice voice.
What's your favorite animated movie?
I'd have to say Prince of Egypt.
Oh fuck yeah!
Like the water scene where he like parts the sea.
And you're
apparently that took like 2 years.
No way.
Yeah.
Yo, that's nuts.
But I also love like what's that one? I think that's also DreamWorks, but it has like the windsurfer person.
Wait,
what's
you're
that
activating
called?
a memory. The windsurfer.
It's like this pirate ship in the sky.
Yes, Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet.
Yo.
I loved that movie.
I have to watch that movie now. Oh
yeah, I want to rewatch it.
I have to watch it.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, probably.
Yo, I was obsessed with that movie.
Yeah. That was like probably my first crush.
Yeah.
Like he was so cute. That and then Aladdin. Like I loved Aladdin.
It's a good looking dude.
Good looking dude. And like stealing bread for kids. What more could you want?
Classic. I feel like Treasure Planet is one of those movies that I'm gonna watch and it's just gonna like trigger so many things.
Yeah. Because I think that was like one of the first that was the combo of 2D and 3D.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
So like cool animation moment.
Sick animation moment. Oh my gosh. Have you heard the story? I'm assuming you have. You know about the Toy Story story, like the first Toy Story movie about how
that
like
it got
they
deleted?
lost. Yeah.
Yeah, and then someone on maternity leave, like
somebody literally took it home to watch for the children to watch, like the whatever they had left. Weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And then it got. I don't know if people know this story, but like. Everything just got deleted or corrupt or something like that. They lost the whole movie, and they thought, and it was like a year or two before they had to release it or something like that. Super late deadline. They were gonna have to make the whole movie, and this random mother was like, "Hey, I took it home. Here it is," and they were just like, "We would have lost Toy Story 1, if she didn't do that. We would have lost one of the greatest."
So sad. One
of the greatest movies of all time. First 3 are probably one of the greatest animated trilogies for a Disney movie or a Pixar movie. Pixar, huh? Yeah, there was a fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more recent.
I didn't see it.
I didn't watch it either. I think it was good though.
Okay.
From what I heard.
Yeah, I think it like won an Oscar, or maybe that was Frozen 2.
Did Frozen 2 win an Oscar?
I think, unfortunately, yeah. I didn't watch it because I don't have interest.
What won this year?
I don't.
Was it The Turning Red? or Encanto.
I don't. Have they
probably.
have it? Have they had it yet?
Yeah, the Oscars. Yeah, it just happened. Well, the Will Smith slap.
Oh,
yeah, it was the Oscars.
Yes. I thought that was the Golden Globes for some reason. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a whole bunch of drama with the animation community for the Oscars because they were making fun of it as if
they
it
were
was
like,
for kids.
for
Somebody
kids.
made a stupid joke.
Yeah, it was like for kids to watch and adults to endure.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's idiots.
But I don't have cable, so I didn't watch it. So I'm not up.
Yeah, they had I haven't watched Encanto, but it won a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen that or Turning Red. I haven't
seen. I want to watch Turning Red real bad because that looks like a really good film.
I know. I should be more up on this since this is like my industry.
No, but I mean, same.
I have no time, but I will now this summer.
Nice.
So
nice. Are you excited to be finite?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So much stress. Like, who knew grad school was hard?
Oh man.
But I'll have an MFA at the end of this, which will be nice. And like, I have been thinking more and more about doing like teaching and being a professor.
Yeah.
At community college potentially.
That is so cool.
Because I don't know. I think I value teaching more than I do like creation. Like, I want to always love to do animation, but I don't want to like do it to the point where like I burn myself out.
Yeah, or in self-indulgence in a way, you know.
Which is like why I think like I'm gearing more towards like doing background design or like a certain aspect of animation instead of like doing everything and then doing like maybe short films on the side for myself.
Nice. So you want to be a part of like bigger teams that are doing nice. Okay, cool.
And then kind of like freelance for myself or like just do my TikTok for fun. Nice. I don't know, because like I think if I do it too much professionally, it'll like make me lose that love of it.
The luster. Yeah, I feel that it's similar to how I feel about like because I did a few music videos. And now I do music videos, and I still enjoy it, but I had to stop for a little while because I was like,
it's
man,
so much work.
I don't want to do this, but I know that I want to. Like, I know that I had the passion for it, and I want to keep that. But after you do it a few times, it's like, okay, I can. It's that same process thing. It's that same thing about enjoying the process, and sometimes it goes even past that. It's not really even about enjoying the process at a certain point. It's about being diligent during that process, because you can enjoy it, but you have to be very intentional and you have to do a lot of work, and it's hard because your emotions are what guides you through most of that, and like really wanting something to happen and like feeling good about it, but that doesn't get you all the way through. And it's often sloppy. You have to be very balanced in that, and that's very difficult. It's tough.
And I do think like commissions make me so anxious because I'm just constantly worried about people not liking it. Like, I thought about being a tattooer for a little while, but that would be just
that's a lot
traumatic.
Of pressure. Yeah,
like to
a lot of pressure.
Not have someone like it and it's like on their body forever. At least with like illustration or animation, it's not permanent. I can just delete the document.
True. Have you ever had because I have have you ever done a commission project that doesn't come out because they didn't like it?
Oh yeah. Like,
that is demoralizing to me.
I had to do this like music video that I kind of got pushed into doing because the person was very persistent. I could have said no, but like they were really persistent. I was too busy at the time to like take on, and the deadline I think was 3 weeks. And they wanted an animated music video, which that's just not going to happen. Like, I can do probably like good animation. I mean, one music video I did took 7 months of wall-to-wall animation. And that was 4.5 minutes. This was probably like 2.5 minutes. And they wanted drawing over top of the video, but I don't really do that. Like, they wanted like the video playing. Also, the specs that they sent me, it was like 720 by whatever.
No
so
way.
It was like low res.
There's no way.
That
sounds like a disaster. It sounds like the person, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the person, but it sounds like it wasn't really prepared to.
No. And it just, I didn't end up like asking for money. Yeah. Because like I did it, they didn't like it. They ended up not using it. So I was like, okay. Never mind. Right, like, it kind of just made me like feel bad.
No, yeah.
But I mean, it was fine.
You got to fail sometimes, you know, and those are difficult circumstances.
Yeah, and there's like definitely moments where
success.
like when I was first starting out, where like I dropped the ball on a lot of stuff some stuff because it's just when you're first starting out, it's hard to say no because you're like, oh, there'll be a time when I won't have things to say no to. So like I wanted to take and say yes to everything. Yeah. But there's only so many hours a day. I only have 2 hands and one of which can draw. So
true.
Yeah,
no,
gotta cut your losses.
For sure. And you gotta learn to appreciate those experiences too, because then you know what to say no to.
Yeah.
And then you also know how to manage yourself and find success in even the projects that don't feel like they can be successful. Like you can find success in those. Those are some like genuine moments that are really awesome, you know. So yeah, I just always appreciate when people share that, because it's not easy to admit. Most people don't talk about when you ask someone who is successful, they'll talk about failing and be like how important it is to keep trying, but they don't talk about the actual failures that they've had. I love when people actually put into words how they did fail and how it benefited them in the long run, or even if it didn't, how it was a traumatic experience and they could fight through that. You know,
and I think
it's super important.
Everyone like in any field like signs on to more than like bites off more than they can chew.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially like when you're green and you have demand, like you're just gonna say yes to the wrong things or say no to the wrong things.
Yep.
And that's just the name of the game.
It's a learning experience.
It is.
So getting towards the end of the episode, last thing I want us to end off on, which is what we always do on the show, is one, tell us how we can support you, what you got coming up next, how we can what we need to be watching out for, and then 2, give us some words of wisdom if you have any. If you want to leave us off with something, it could be anything, how you're feeling, something you've learned recently, just anything. So yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I just did a short film, Nana's Story Box, which was about my Nana, and she passed away when I was an undergrad. And this was her ring. Like she left me a bunch of jewelry and like items and her sewing machine. So this was kind of about like reliving her life through her pieces and like how like the things that people like leave behind kind of transport you.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. That's
out this week.
Yeah,
that's like
so exciting.
the only thing that I have going on. My cat's birthday is coming up, so I'm making a birthday video for her.
Oh my gosh. What the heck?
But
happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. She's 11. Double digits.
Let's go.
But other than that, like my thesis will be out next year. Hopefully that'll go to film festivals.
Yes.
We'll see.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh my gosh, please let us know.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
And in terms of advice, I would just say, like, have fun in the tedium. Like, keep on keeping on. Find, like, I like to listen to a lot of, like if I feel like I'm getting really overwhelmed, I like to listen to those playlists on YouTube that are, like, fantasy music for inspiration or by the seaside or, like, pretending that I'm a mermaid.
Imagination.
Just, like, little things to, like, get you through the day. Like, I don't know, New York is so chaotic to live in, and it's just important to like take time for yourself and be introspective. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I feel you. That's great. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your stories with us and for sharing your energy. Appreciate it. And appreciate y'all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.